Welcome to Documented Strange. Normally, we dive into the world's most mysterious, terrifying, and unexplained events. True, documented incidents that have left people stunned and terrified. But today, we're taking a different approach. This is not a story about something that has already happened, nor is it a paranormal mystery we can't quite explain. This is a hypothetical but terrifyingly realistic look at what would happen if nuclear war broke out in America. The consequences would be catastrophic. There would be no escaping the sheer horror of what would follow. And let me make this clear. This isn't an exercise in fear-mongering. This is the cold, hard reality of what would unfold, based on real-world data, military projections, and scientific research. This is exactly what would happen, step by step, minute by minute, if nuclear war were to begin today. At the moment the first missiles are launched, the world shifts. Global tensions reach a boiling point, perhaps a misunderstanding, perhaps a strategic decision, but in an instant, humanity is thrust into a nightmare. The United States, standing as a target, watches helplessly as missiles are fired. It takes just minutes from launch to impact. American missile detection satellites would immediately confirm the presence of ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, heading toward major cities and military sites across the U.S. The president is alerted. There is no time to debate or prepare. Within seconds, the airspace is cleared and the countdown begins. The impact will come, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. The world's superpowers are locked in an all-out game of brinkmanship. There are no more checks, no more balances. A single decision has set in motion the end of civilization as we know it. For those left alive to witness it, it would begin with the flash. At precisely 3:17 a.m., the first warhead explodes over Washington, D.C. A brilliant, blinding white light, hotter than the surface of the sun, explodes over the city. The flash is so intense that even people miles away would be temporarily blinded. At ground zero, the sheer heat vaporizes everything in its path. Buildings, roads, people, all turn to ash in a split second. Those unlucky enough to be in the blast zone would die instantly, their bodies disintegrated by the unfathomable heat. For a moment, the world is silent. It's as if time itself holds its breath before the shockwave follows. A wave of sound and pressure traveling faster than the speed of sound. It hits with such force that everything in its path is shattered. Glass breaks, buildings collapse, and people are flung to the ground like rag dolls. In the span of a few seconds, everything changes. There are no more cities, no more landmarks, just rubble, fire, and smoke. The devastation is not just physical, it's psychological. For anyone left standing, the first impact is a loss of everything they knew. The country is no longer recognizable. The loss of Washington, the seat of government, is catastrophic. Communications are severed. The president, and those still alive in the chain of command, are left without information. Military responses are chaotic, if they even function at all. The second bomb detonates over another major city, Los Angeles, New York, or perhaps Chicago, and the same destructive pattern plays out. The first nuclear blast sets off a chain reaction, an unstoppable force that continues to level city after city, military base after military base. The shock waves ripple outward from the initial impacts, continuing their devastation as they move through the heart of America. The air turns black with the smoke and ash of burning cities, while fires rage for miles. Anyone left alive is faced with immediate life or death decisions. The infrastructure is gone, power grids are down, water systems are contaminated. The nation falls into chaos, but it doesn't end there. The most insidious part of nuclear war comes next, the fallout. Immediately after the bomb detonates, radioactive particles begin to ascend into the atmosphere. These particles are carried by the wind, reaching cities hundreds or even thousands of miles away. Within hours, the first signs of radiation sickness appear: fatigue, nausea, vomiting, fever, and the slow, painful destruction of human cells. In the immediate aftermath of the bombs, the blast zones are too hot to approach. Anyone caught within 30 miles of ground zero is essentially doomed, unless they find shelter immediately. But shelter is scarce, and many buildings and bunkers, if they still exist, have been obliterated in the initial attack. Those outside the immediate blast zones are not safe. The radiation continues to fall like rain, poisoning everything it touches: the air, the water, the land. Crops once grown for sustenance are now contaminated and inedible. The sky, which once offered hope and light, is now blocked by a thick layer of ash and soot. The planet itself seems to wither under the effects of a man-made apocalypse. And then, the EMP, electromagnetic pulse, strikes. No more communications, no more internet, no more phones, no more technology. The EMP wipes out all electronic devices. Satellites, power grids, cell towers, all destroyed in an instant. What was once the backbone of modern life is now an intricate series of broken systems. Cars stop working. Medical equipment shuts down. Planes fall from the sky. The world is plunged into a technological black hole, one from which there may be no return. The survivors, if any, are left scrambling in the dark, struggling to adapt to a new, unforgiving world where the most basic resources are scarce. Survival becomes a matter of luck. For those lucky enough to survive the initial blast, the next danger is radiation sickness, followed by starvation. Hospitals are destroyed. Emergency services are non-existent. The social order breaks down entirely. Law enforcement, military, and government are crippled. The people are left to fend for themselves. The world has changed forever. Nothing will ever be the same. There are no more conveniences, no more supermarkets, no more businesses. The people are left in a state of desperation, with no electricity, no clean water, and no real hope. For every person who survives the initial blast, 100 more will die from the radiation, the lack of food, or the lack of medical care. At this point, America is a wasteland. The air is thick with fallout. The oceans have risen, absorbing the force of nuclear tsunamis, devastating coastal cities, and leaving once thriving communities uninhabitable. People who once lived in bustling metropolises now find themselves scattered across a fractured, lawless land. For those who survive, the battle becomes one of survival. They are fighting for basic necessities: water, food, shelter. Resources are stripped bare. The human population shrinks rapidly. For those who make it through the hellish years following the detonation, radiation poisoning, disease, and famine will slowly claim the rest. Society as it once existed is no more. It is replaced by a world where survival is the only law, and that's the aftermath. The global chain reaction doesn't stop with the United States. Every country that still has the ability to retaliate would launch their own strikes. The world would descend into a nightmare of nuclear explosions, plummeting temperatures, and the slow death of all that humanity once built. The entire planet would enter a period known as nuclear winter, where the sun is blotted out by ash and soot in the atmosphere. Global temperatures plummet, and crops fail. Humanity as we know it is obliterated. Millions are dead. Billions more will die in the years that follow, from radiation, starvation, and disease. In the end, nuclear war is not something that can be survived. It is not just a war, it is the death of civilization itself. A new world would emerge from the ashes, but it would be unrecognizable. The lessons of this hypothetical scenario are not just for today, but for the future. The specter of nuclear war looms large, and it is something we cannot ignore.